What is up, CSBA? Welcome to another Vodcast of Wired Up. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the stream. Got Aaron in the top right. We got Mr. Ray Bob Diddle, a.k.a. Mr. Diddle, down in the bottom left. We got Mr. Zay Tobin, who we always hear on our color commentary. What is up, fellas? Welcome to Wired Up.
Yeah, it's good to be here. Excited to discuss with these fine gentlemen some of the goings on here as we approach March Madness.
Yeah, it's exciting times for sure. Ray, what's up, buddy? You see the beard is back?
The beard is back, and it's not better than ever, but it will be. I've been given permission to grow it an inch, and as you can tell, I'm stretching it as far as I can.
Wife says you get an inch, you take a mile. I like it. I like how
That's
it works.
right. That's right.
You just so is it prep for Bone Town? That's what I want to know.
Oh yeah, it's definitely prep for Bone Town. Bone Town is back, and like I was telling y'all guys earlier, and you already know, Wired, that Bone Town is a different breed when we get going.
For sure. I'm excited to have those guys have Bone Town back for season 9. And what's up, Zay? What's up, buddy? How you doing? My main man has been a color commentator for me for a while now. Just started doing the CSBA Insider with Vengeance. What's going on, buddy?
Yeah, I've been all over the place as of recently. It's finally time to put a face to a name here. First time, pretty much majority of people I've seen my face, except for Pax. I think Pax is the only one that really knows outside of everyone else. And This is what I look like. What's up, y'all? What's good?
So well, first off, obviously thrilled to have you aboard, and I know I already saw what you and Vengeance got planned for the content team. So for those that don't know, CSBA Insider, if you haven't checked it out, check it out. The cool features that we have now is that you guys can actually interact with our content teams as they start to post their articles, hopefully weekly. That is the intent that we're going to have. Obviously, we did that soft launch this yesterday, actually. Was supposed to be Monday, but we did that soft launch on Tuesday, and got the chatter going literally right in that content. So that is the key with those channels. That's where we want you guys to interact. Zay and Vengeance in that particular one will, if you guys have questions for them or have any comments specifically, leave it there. I think it's meant to be fun, obviously, and there's more content and there's some really good stuff coming. So excited for that. Super excited to talk about that more here in a little bit. In addition to that, I got one surprise announcement that nobody here knows that actually Ray may know. I think I may have told it to him in passing, but I don't have a graphic for it. But we'll share that out here shortly. And then we got some stuff to talk about besides March Madness. We're going to go over the season awards. So I think that's pretty exciting. We didn't really talk about and make an announcement of what we were going to cover here tonight, other than with these fine gentlemen here. So let's kind of get into it. Let's start off. We're going to start off with the Player of the Year. I think it's a very prestigious award. We've had some really good winners here in the past. I'm going to put up the graphic here in a second on our Player of the Year and let the panel kind of talk a little bit about that particular player's performance during the season and some statistical stuff and talk about that. So kicking us off right out of the gate, our Player of the Year, Don Machiavelli, led the league, or I believe he was leading the league at 21.2 points per game, or was close thereof, but averaging 2.5 assists per game and shooting a whopping 50% from three on the season. So he is your Player of the Year. Aaron, you want to talk a little bit about Mr. Machiavelli?
Yeah, Machiavelli, 21.2 points. You see the numbers there, 2.5 assists. Also shooting 50% from beyond the arc. A really great season for him. Led his Texas Tech team to an 8-2 season. I expect Texas Tech is easily a number 1, number 2 seed come the selection show this weekend. Well deserved nod here for Machiavelli.
Right?
Yeah, man. I agree. 21.2 points a game. It's a heck of a season. The fact that he shot 50% from behind the arc, man, is just, you know me, I'm a 3-point guy. That's just unbelievable. Like it's. And it's not like he didn't shoot a lot of them, because he shot 76 of them and knocked down 38 of them.
Which is insane. That's an insane stat.
Yes, it is. Because I mean, when you're looking at the 3-pointer shot, it's like, you know, it's him and Kobe Johnson both shot 76, and they're both right at 50%. But I mean, Machiavelli shooting it at 50% on the money, and then still having a 56% field goal percentage is just absolutely nuts.
Yeah, if he, I mean, I'll let Zay talk here in a second. I was just going to say my comment back on that is he truly does play like J.R. Smith, not afraid to shoot the basketball, and that is his arc. So if we're just so you guys know that if you weren't aware of that, that is his arc. So not surprising. Texas Tech uses him well. Zay, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, definitely going over to what Diddle was saying, especially when you average that much, 21 points on 50% shooting from the deep, 56 in general from the field. When you shoot it that efficiently, shooting at such a high clip, that's definitely something to take into account, especially with Texas Tech and their success throughout the entire season. Yeah,
for sure. And I'm going to ask you guys, just because you guys I don't believe any of you guys are on the actual panel that chooses the awards. Would this been, and this is, I'm just completely shooting from the hip here, would this be a guy that, would you have picked anybody else? Could you have thought of anybody else that was deserving of Player of the Year on the season? Put you on the spot. So, Aaron.
Not immediately offhand. I could see maybe Dustin Sparrow getting another shot at Player of the Year. Maybe Peter Packer, the freshman, with his numbers definitely up there as a potential one. But beyond that, not not anyone that particularly comes to mind.
What about you, Ray? Anybody that jumps out at you that you might say, "Hey, well, I'm surprised this guy wasn't in conversation for it"? I mean, obviously, a lot of players were, but is there a guy for you that you think might be?
There's one that just absolutely jumps off the page, and he's the second leading scorer in the league. And he just like I said, he absolutely jumps off the page, and that's CJ Green. I mean, he's 70% field goal percentage on the year. I mean, he is boasting a 236 efficiency.
Wow.
Score. He's 1.2 blocks per game, 4.3 assists from the power forward position, and then 4.3 rebounds per game. I mean, he's one that just kind of jumped off the page at me, and I was like, ugh. It would have been a tough vote for me if I was on that committee.
Yeah, and he jumped off to a whole nother level once he moved over from Kansas to North Carolina. So props to everybody over on the Carolina coaching staff who really is getting the most out of them. Zay, anybody else besides maybe CJ Green, or it might be CJ Green for you as well. So.
Definitely, CJ Green definitely comes up to mind there, Dustin Sparrow. But an underrated pick for me, not a lot of people really talk about, is Rick Cohn from Villanova. His stats aren't jump off the page nearly as much as Don. Averaging around 19 points a game, of 5 assists per game there. But just the impact that he showed for Villanova, especially with the way they turned it around this season, and potentially scoring maybe a 4 seed, 5 seed, somewhere around that area there, from just barely not even making it into March Madness last year. It's just that impact that's there for me as him as an underrated pick.
Yeah, and I like that choice too, because I think he's the straw that stirs the drink at Villanova. The offense goes through him. He's a big reason why Villanova has had such huge success. Not to say that they have some really good players on their team this year. Probably one of the best Nova teams I think we've seen to date, and Cohn is the guy that leads them. So if I had to talk about a player that could be up for like an MVP type of player, to me, he is definitely one that should be talked about. Love the take, guys. Let's talk a little bit now. This next one actually is the first time we're giving away this award. And by the way, we'll have. I have cards for most of these guys done. I don't have all the graphics done yet. There was a snafu tonight on one thing, so we will not announce the freshman All-Americans tonight. But those graphics and those cards will be coming out hopefully before the end of the weekend. So just be on the lookout for them. I will post those, but those cards, like we always give out, but we wanted to do it during Wired Up. So, but this is an award this is the first time we're giving out this award. We started it late mid-season. I don't know why, late. The tail end of mid-season, why we didn't do this in past seasons, but the Defensive Player of the Year, first time we're giving out this award, and that's going to go to Mr. Perry Dudley of Iowa State. 12.9 points per game, 2 blocks per game, and 9.7 rebounds per game. So almost a double-double. Solid job defensively in the interior with 2 blocks per game. I don't have his assist numbers in front of me because it's not on the graphic, but I believe that was just under 1 if I remember correctly. But Dudley been stellar all season. What's your thoughts there, Aaron?
Yeah, definitely a very all-around player for Iowa State this season. The Cyclones, not the greatest of seasons, only 5-4, but Dudley definitely a big contributor with the nearly 13 points, 10 rebounds a game, 2 blocks, 1.6 assists. The numbers for his other stats as well, an efficiency number of 202, definitely up there for the sophomore center. Again, another very, very well-deserved award given out.
Yeah, and I think for him, he took. I mean, even though I know it's B. Mills' player, and he was a coach when he was at Oklahoma State, I felt like Perry, once he went to Iowa State, just jumped off the page defensively. He really knew his role and was used well. Ray, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I was just looking at when we started talking about the Defensive Player of the Year, and you sent, who got what awards, and I started looking through his stats, and I was like, the thing that jumped off the page to me is he's a center, and he's averaging 2 blocks a game, but he's also averaging 0.9 steals per game, which is basically 1 steal a game from the center position, and that is huge. I mean, that's a big deal when your big man is actually creating turnovers. So he's creating basically 3 turnovers a game on his own.
Yeah, I
So
mean,
that's
havoc in the interior for sure. Forcing guys. I mean, that's just not even counting probably about the amount of shots he's probably forcing just misses on, let alone the blocks that he's getting. Zay, what's your thoughts, bud?
Definitely well-deserved award here with those 2 blocks a game at the center position. Yeah, definitely something you would want to see there. Yeah, but like you said, it's just his impact when he got there. It just unlocked him both offensively, defensively as a two-way player there. Just the idea, just not even just shots that even get off the stat sheets, like his steals, his blocks, not even just that. It's just the idea of, yeah, how shots are affected, good shot contest, just going up, just putting effort on the glass, stuff like that. Small things that don't show up on the stat sheet are very important for
Yeah,
his success.
intangibles for sure are a huge part of that. I think that is a big reason why Iowa State, rather, I almost said Ohio State, why Iowa State did so phenomenally this year. I think they had a really good season. I think Perry is a big reason for that, especially on the defensive end. Let's actually jump over to mid majors for a second here. Talk a little bit about those guys. Obviously new to the league this season, we had mid majors, 6 teams in the league. Where the hope is that they're going to be back next season. Just got to make sure that we get the paids in, but that is the intent. Is to potentially keep them separate. That's what we want to do. That doesn't necessarily mean that's what we're going to do. So, but we saw some really good players really kind of surface for us this year, and especially, obviously being the first season of it, it was really cool to see some of these guys flourish, especially some of that more active progression players within the league. So this year's the first season's this is also a new award because mid majors is a new thing to the CSBA. So that's going to be the mid majors player of the year. That is going to go to Hawaii's Eaton Letterman. Averaging, I mean, in these numbers, if you look at some of the numbers that we've seen, that we just talked about, just some of the top scorers in the league, these numbers are pretty much right up there with them. 19 points a game, 8.3 rebounds a game, and 1.7 blocks per game from Eaton Letterman at Hawaii. We're gonna let's go reverse now because I feel like Zay is probably not getting a lot of good comments in that everybody is stealing before the time he gets it. So we'll go reverse this time. Zay, what's your thoughts? What's your thoughts on Eaton?
Phenomenal player. I call a couple of the Hawaii games, and just to see his impact very early on, and just the idea of just him going down the stretch, shooting threes, just impacting the game in any way, shape, or form. There is just amazing to see. Him, his partner in crime there, Bam Bam Rebel, and just a couple of other names like Damian Chambers and Prince Enrico. Other names that you can possibly think of from those mid-major teams. Just a lot of names there in those mid-majors that pop up as stars. I can't wait to see what they do in these playing games.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see not only what they do in the playing games, but if we do have to incorporate some of these progression style players back in with our paid players, it'd be interesting to see how well he does. But it's definitely stood out amongst the mid-major players and the mid-major teams. Ray, what's your thoughts?
Well, I'm a big Eaton Lederman fan. I mean, he was on Pitt last season, and he went over to Hawaii as the coach and just absolutely took off. I mean, I think he averaged right at double figures at Pitt last year as a freshman. So, I mean, the guy could play. I mean, obviously, and he was sharing the ball with Rafus and Bo Diddle and Kai.
And we know those guys don't pass.
Yeah.
So
no, not at all. And then he was also had Kai Williams was also averaging double figures. So I mean, we already knew the guy could play. And then when he went over to the mid majors, went over to Y, he just absolutely lit it up. I mean, 19 points a game, big deal. That's a lot of points per game. I want some of that. What Zay's drinking?
What are you drinking, Zay? What you got on? Energy?
It's straight up water, man. Nothing more, nothing less.
Oh,
Ray's like vodka.
I could just sit here and say his secret stuff, my secret stuff, but like
he's got some of that. He's got some of that 14R Davis secret water over there.
Aaron, what do you got? What's your thoughts on Letterman?
Yeah, Letterman, a great asset at Pitt last season, moves over to Hawaii to coach that mid-major team, and again, just kind of lights things up over there. I do also want to highlight Bam Bam Rubble from Hawaii as well. Someone I would have given a nod potentially as a defensive player of the year uh, for the mid-majors, if not the league as a whole. But yeah, Letterman dropping almost 20, definitely well deserved player of the year nod for him in the mid-major conferences.
For sure, it was a good. It was a good season by him. I'm excited to see what, as we know, the top four teams. We know those four teams that are in the playing games for the mid majors. Hawaii being one of them. So I'm curious to see. And we saw it early on in the preseason with when we had a mid major upset. One of the major teams in Air Force defeating Oregon. So I'm curious to see what happens in those playing games and to see if any of those guys, any of those teams can take that next step and maybe take down one of those number 8 seeds. So should be fun. Should be fun. Let's jump over to our Sixth Man of the Year award, and that is going to go to our boy over at Georgetown, Vinny Trill, coming in at 12.9 points per game, 6 boards per game, and 3.2 assists from the big man. So that's pretty impressive assist stats from Trill. But he comes in as our sixth man of the year. What's your thoughts? We'll start with Aaron. Aaron, talk to me a little bit about Mr. Trill here.
Yeah, I mean 13, 6, and 3 basically for Trill coming off the bench, behind the likes of Dustin Sparrow, a former player of the year. As a freshman is incredibly impressive. Coach Casey really knows how to build those big men in her system, and Vinny Trill coming over and just lighting things up for Georgetown, a big reason why they had the success that they had this season. Again, another great pick by the awards committee. Trill also with about a block and a half a game too, so really capable of pushing things in transition for Georgetown if you let them.
Yeah, and the thing about Trill too, if you think about the amount of, I think was Georgetown have 4 bigs, I think 3 or 4 bigs.
Yeah,
I'm pretty
4.
sure 4.
They have
right?
4
Yeah,
centers.
4. Yeah, so to put up those numbers with 4, and they have Sparrow, Trill, Dobbins, and why am I not thinking who's the fourth
Hemlock.
one? And Hemlock. Right? Oh, how can I forget? How can I forget Aspen? Oh my God! Shame on me. Matty Caddy's probably like, you forgot about me. Yeah, Hemlock. I mean, just Hemlock's defensive abilities. So like, pretty impressive considering those. You have 4 bigs on that roster. So congrats to Mr. Trill. What's your thoughts, Ray?
When I think of Vinny Trill, I think of Vinny Versatile. I mean, the kid, the guy did it all, man. I mean, I gave him a nickname for a reason, right? Yeah, I saw him play the center, and I saw him play the 4 some this year. I think she actually switched it up one time. He played center against us, and then played the 4 against us. One time off the bench, one time not. And I mean, the guy's just a really, really solid player. And he did come off the bench more than he started, and putting up those kind of numbers off the bench is pretty impressive.
Yeah, for sure. I totally agree. I feel bad for you guys. You got to face them a couple of times this season, so definitely not a team you want to get in the way of. Zay, what's your thoughts on Mr. Trill as the 6th man?
First of all, Georgetown is just a scary team in general. I know Vengeance knows we played them weeks 1 and week 2. And they had we had our butts handed to us, but just the idea of just Vinny Trill in general, just putting up those numbers, 13 and 6 as a freshman off the bench as a 6th man, he's putting up starter like numbers in his first year. It's just extremely impressive.
Yeah,
just goes to show the amount of depth that Georgetown has.
Yeah, and I was gonna say the funny thing about Georgetown is they spit out superstars on the regular. That is a very, very, very solid program. I'm excited to see the Majestic next season. Obviously, I know we're losing the NCAA teams and going into custom NCAA teams, but I'm excited for Potomac to be the new face of what Georgetown was, and see what kind of legacy they build going forward. So I'm super excited about that. let's jump into. We have one more Player of the Year award, and then we'll go into our All Americans. So let's talk a little bit about the Freshman of the Year. That one is going to go to Mr. Peter Packer. He picked the Pack of Peppers. 12 points per game, just a tenth under a double, averaging a double-double. So 12 points, 9.9 points per rebounds per game, and 2.3 blocks per game. So we know we talked a little bit about him earlier in the broadcast. Zay, talk to me a little bit about our Rookie Player of the Year here, Mr. Peter Packer.
Yeah, but for majority of the season, up until now, heck, even until now, man's been averaging a double-double. He was the only player in the league to even do it. So just the idea of just him doing that at a freshman level with who he has around him at Houston, that's just it's just really impressive to see. I'm really excited to kind of see where he's gonna go for his future.
For sure. Is there anybody that you felt, Zay, that I mean, I think some of the guys said like it was Packer since day one, but is there anybody else for you that may have been like was snubbed here for this award?
To be honest, not really. To be completely honest, I feel as though he should have had it since day one. Just the idea, just how dominant he was, especially on that new team of Houston, leading them to a pretty solid seed there.
Yeah, for sure. I think he had a stellar season. You can almost average a double-double. Ray, what's your thoughts on Packer?
Yeah, I mean, I think if he gets one more rebound in his last game, he's still at 10. I think he got 9 rebounds his last game and needed 10. But it was yeah, for all intents and purposes, he's a double-double machine. He's averaging a double-double if you ask me or you ask anybody else in the league. But he's been doing it, and I think like Zay said, he's been averaging a double-double since day one. So I mean, it's not like he really fell off anywhere. And to your second question, I don't see any. I think it was his to lose.
Yeah, for sure. Aaron, what's your thoughts, buddy?
Yeah, again, definitely deserved. I think you're right. Peter Packer, especially coming straight out of high school, was just electric for Houston. 9.9. It's basically 10 rebounds a game. Let's not kid ourselves. Also, 2 rebounds, 2 blocks a game, and a steal as well. A real all-around player for Houston. It was definitely his kind of firm in hand. Blue Kush definitely another one to consider from Auburn this year. Pretty similar numbers, not quite double-double level, but I think kind of the next closest to Packer as far as freshmen are concerned. But yeah, it was definitely Packers to lose from the get-go.
Yeah, Aaron, and I agree with you. I mean, it's a double-double. I mean, let's not kid ourselves. But
it's a double-double.
It's a double-double.
It's definitely a double-double.
If you all right, so we know Packer obviously one of the top. He gets the Freshman of the Year award. Are there any? I mean, I feel like there's a bunch of freshmen this season, and I'm putting you on the spot, Aaron. And I know you've called a lot of games, so that's why I'm putting you on the spot. Is there a few other players? Is there a few other freshmen that you think that we really need to keep an eye on, especially heading into the tournament or maybe even into their sophomore season?
Sir, yes, that is a weighted question.
It is. I know it is.
A weighted question.
Done deliberate, my friend.
Yes.
Done deliberate.
He put you on the spot for real.
He's called enough games. I know he knows this stuff like the back of his head.
I mean
he does. He does. I just know it.
I mean, of course, you've got the obvious choices: Vinny Trill, Peter Packer, Blue Kush. Definitely some to look at. I would also like to shout out.
Is there a guy on Memphis you might be leaving? Or sorry, Seton Hall you might be leaving out?
I will let the people make that deduction on their own. I would like to shout out.
I'll say it, Corey Mizukana.
I will say Mizukana, the tail end of the season really was coming on.
Yeah,
he came on strong at the end of the year.
So it was good to see. But
I also want to highlight Artie Fischel for Iowa State and Blake Elder for Tennessee as
and Blake,
freshmen to look at.
Blake Elder, towards this end of the season, the guy has been a 3-point shot maker if I've ever seen one in the CSBA. I think he's a guy that's probably going to eventually challenge for the 3-point record if he was to continue here. Unfortunately, Blake decided that he was going to leave the CSBA only because he does not believe in the custom teams. So unfortunately, we're not going to see that career continue, which I'm sad about because I think I was excited to see him, but he still will be here at least through the postseason. So Tennessee will be able to still use him, but it'll be sad to see. It's sad to see him go next season because I think he's a guy built the right way to challenge Kareem DePance for that title. So that's just my thoughts there. But yeah, we're gonna miss him obviously. Let's jump into the All-American Awards. I think we're gonna start with the third team and work our way instead of starting with the first team. Let's start with the third and work our way up, and then maybe we can talk. I mean, unless you guys want to go first to third, I don't care. I'm open to either. We didn't talk about this.
We can go back to front.
Back to front works fine for me.
The only reason it was weird because I was thinking, if we go back to front, if they say, hey, someone should be on this, and then they're on the second or the first team, that becomes pointless. But we'll start with the third team. That makes sense. All right, so for the third team, Season 9 All-Americans, Malik Woodbury, Kareem DePance, Jacob Black, Randall Althor, and Stacey Blaylock. Now, those are 5 incredible names, and they're the third team, guys.
Yeah. What's going on here?
Kareem DePance, only third team All-American? Excuse?
Yeah.
Libertines clearly not greasing the right palms of.
It must have been real tough in voting.
What's your initial reaction to the names, though? I'll leave the graphic. I'll read the graphic up so that you guys can talk about it.
I mean, shout out to Stacey Blaylock making third team as a freshman. Another one of those that could have been potential freshman player of the year.
Yeah, we didn't even talk about him, Aaron, when we were talking about players to watch, right? I mean, he's a guy.
13 points, 9 rebounds, 2 assists, a block, and a steal per game. Another one of those great all-around players. Doesn't quite get the nod for freshman player of the year, but does make third team All-American. So much deserved for the big man for Villanova.
Yeah, and he did make the All-Star team too. So I know everybody talks about the All-Star game, but he did make the All-Star game and played well in it too. So
I just want y'all to realize that the third team point guard is averaging 15 and 5.
Good God. Really?
Well, that's what happens when you have 42 teams. I mean, I'm gonna be completely honest. There's a lot of players.
That's true. That's true. That is a lot of
15 and 5 is nuts.
That's
15 and 5.
It's a lot of players to whittle down to just 15
and
though.
5.
Is there anybody on this page and you're like, wow, I thought he should have been much higher?
The pants.
See, I would have said Randall Althor. That would have been my guy. My particular guy. Zay, anybody for you?
Not really.
Zay thinking it's right. Zay's saying it's right.
They said nah.
Maybe Malik Woodbury should be a little bit higher. I think he should be on the second team, to be completely honest. But just the way that he's been balling out there in Auburn. But
all right, well, hold on. We don't even know who the second team is yet.
Yeah, I mean, we can talk about that after. We can talk about who you think if they got it right. But let's jump to the second team. But congratulations to all the players here: Woodbury, DePance, Black, Althor, Stacey Blaylock. Great job, guys. Great season. Obviously, I'm looking forward to seeing. I think all these teams should be in the postseason. So I don't know, but we'll see when the selection committee puts these guys in. Second team All-American: KT Murphy, Lamont Jello, Logan Fox, Griffey Martin, and last year's Player of the Year, Dustin Sparrow. Zay, what's your thoughts, bud?
I like this list. The only thing I was gonna change, but like I said, the switch Woodbury and Murphy around that second and third team. But other than that, I like this list.
Ray, what's your thoughts, buddy?
I'm with Zay. I mean, as much as I like KT Murphy, I think you've got to switch Woodbury and Murphy around. But I don't know because Murphy, yeah, he's 15-5, but does he play defense like KT Murphy does? Because KT Murphy plays really good defense as well. But you look at the names on this list, and it's like Lamont Jello, Griffey Martin, and Dustin Sparrows on the second team. I'm interested in this first team.
Yeah, I mean, the second team is stacked. KT Murphy. See, for me, I don't know if I put KT in the second. I think I put KT in the third. Just going back, and maybe for the third team. I mean, there's at least three. I mean, this is tough. I actually would have put four of these players over KT Murphy into the second team. That's just me. I would have put either Woodbury, DePance, Black, or Al Thor in over Murphy, but I think Murphy still had a phenomenal season regardless. In his senior season. So, Aaron,
I mean,
what's your thoughts, buddy?
Murphy would get it over DePance and Al Thor just based on position alone. But just comparing the numbers between Woodbury and
that's fair. I forgot these. I forgot these are done by position. My apologies. I completely forgot about that aspect of it too. So thank you. Thank you for correcting me. By the way,
you're quite welcome. Woodbury actually has a better stat line than Murphy does. Murphy is 10-5, 1 and a half, the half being a block, whereas Woodbury is 15-5, 1 and 1. So I think the argument could be made for putting Woodbury above KT Murphy.
Yeah.
But other than that, no, Jello, Fox, Martin, Sparrow definitely deserve All-American nods. It will be interesting to see who comes out on the first team. On top of these just super impactful names, especially Logan Fox for Cincinnati, the junior having just an absolute standout season in his second with the Bearcats. So nice to see him make second team.
Yeah, and apologies for having my head up my butt on that one because I just completely forgot that this was by position and not by overall. So
it's fine.
Who's ready for the hot take that's going to piss somebody off?
Oh boy!
Oh, bring it!
Lamont Jello shouldn't have made All-American.
Whoa!
At all?
Whoa!
Dang.
He should not
that is a hot take.
All-American.
That is a hot take.
Would you like to? To expand?
Yeah, you got to explain that one.
Wait, we're going to the screen. Expand on that one.
No, I have Don Machiavelli. I have Dane Jones and Willie Leak ahead of Lamont Jello.
Wow. All right. We'll get you on the selection committee next season.
Yeah, and I didn't even and y'all noticed I didn't even say Kareem DePance because I have Kareem DePance as well. But I mean, any of those four I have above Lamont Jello.
Yeah, I mean,
all right. Well, fair enough.
I can if you want to start throwing mid majors in there, I got a couple of them ahead of them too.
Whoa! Pump the brakes there, Ray.
Mind blown.
Wow.
I like it. This is what we do on Wired Up, right? This is we bring it. There's no filters. No filters on Wired Up.
This is the Bonetown way.
Yeah, I mean, definitely shooting guard. Super contested position for All-American, and I think some of those names definitely deserving of at least an honorable mention. The committee selects the way that they do. There's a reason. I'm sure that they're on the committee, and I'm not. But it'll be interesting to see who's over Jello for that first team nod.
We may need to add you guys to the committee. Sometimes.
I don't need that pressure.
That is a lot of pressure to have.
That's too funny. All right, let's jump into the first team All-Americans. Let's go through that one right now. Rick Cohn, Don Machiavelli, C.J. Mack, C.J. Greens, and Rack Jones. Aaron, talk to me, buddy. Talk to me about these guys, these five specifically.
I mean, Don Machiavelli, Player of the Year, makes sense for him to be first team All-American as well, of course. We talked about Rick Cohn earlier.
Yep.
Definitely, a potential honorable mention of that player of the year spot. 19.5, 1.5. His numbers this season. A great pickup in the offseason for Villanova. Nice to see him getting his just due. CJ Mack, the kind of partner in crime to Don Machiavelli, where one goes, the other follows, it seems, including first team All American. Rack Jones getting first team is an interesting one because LSU didn't have the greatest of seasons. But Rack Jones was far and away the highlight player for that Tigers team, leading in basically all team categories except assists for them this season.
Yeah, this one kind of shocked me. I'm not gonna lie. When I saw it, but I also know the kind of game, and I called a lot of LSU games this season, so I got to see a lot of him, and I felt like he definitely was a difference maker for LSU, probably their MVP. I don't know if I have him number one as we kind of look at Sparrow and we have Blaylock there, and there's probably a couple other centers too that you probably could even throw in the mix in the conversation.
I mean, how you don't have Peter Packer in any of your top 3 All-Americans when he's averaging a double-double.
I mean, I'm not looking at stats at the moment, but even a guy like Jafari Kaida to me is a guy that I think may have gotten a little bit of a shaft here.
Now, hold on a second. I do want to point out that Rack Jones is another one that's real close to that double-double number. He's at 15 and 9.3. So, I don't think it's undeserving. You could make arguments.
He's not got the over blocks a game, though, does he?
He's at almost 2 a game.
So let's throw. I mean, and Super Gremlin just said it in stream chat, and I think it's a really smart point he made. The Defensive Player of the Year didn't even get an All-American, and he's averaging a double-double.
Right.
I mean, think about that.
There are 42 teams in this league. Our selection committee had to cut it down to 15 players. People are gonna get missed. And that's just how it is.
That's facts. But I mean, he is the Defensive Player of the Year. I feel. Don't you think he should be an All-American at that point?
He definitely should have an All-American nod, as should Packer. But Packer might be freshman All-American. To be fair.
Yep.
To be fair, Dudley though I think definitely deserves a spot. It is difficult with the 3 that we have though to kind of argue where he would be. Over the likes of Blaylock or Sparrow, and it's so difficult.
Yeah, see. To what I was talking about, Rack Jones is averaging 0.9 blocks per game. 0.9.
See,
but he is averaging 1.3 steals.
See, the numbers I'm looking at have Rack Jones at 1.7 blocks a game.
Though, right?
What's that say?
I said Dudley was averaging more steals, right? Or at least averaging more steals.
They were both right at 1. They're both right around 1.
Right around 1.
Yep. I mean, yeah, that's.
I almost feel like we have to have a fourth team.
There's
just so many.
Yeah, I mean,
right.
Center, shooting guard, and even power forward is just choosing choosing your 3 All-Americans. You got to watch a lot of games, and you know that at times LSU won games because of Rack Jones. If you watch the games,
yes,
they won games through him. How many games did Houston win through Peter Packer?
Yeah, I mean,
how many games did Iowa State win through Perry Dutton? There was times when Rack Jones was LSU.
That's fair, and I'm sure that's probably what the committee. And we probably should have gotten one of the committee members on here, but definitely something to keep into consideration there. Who's the only one we didn't cover? Aaron, I think. Did you?
Power forward.
Yeah, we skipped power forward.
Did we? We didn't say a word about CJ Green.
Sorry, CJ Green. Yeah, no. What's up with that? Let's talk about CJ Green over Griffey Martin over Randall L. Thor.
I mean, the man is averaging 21, 5, and 5 on the season from the power forward spot. That's, well, technically 21, 4, and 4, but semantics. Yeah, 21 points per game for North Carolina from the power forward spot is ridiculous. Plus, adding 4 assists a game on top of that. So we're talking, at least 29 points responsible for a game, if not more.
Yeah, I think he had a 38 before. 30, was it like 36 points or something like that one of the games this season? I forgot which game, but I think one of the games he was like 30. And that was in regulation.
Yes,
Yeah.
That was with no overtime.
Mm-hmm.
They went to overtime, but I think he had 36 or something like that heading into overtime, if I remember correctly.
He had 23 or something like that in the second half.
Yeah.
He
took over that game. I hadn't seen a dominant performance, a takeover from one player since Jim Carr scored 25 points in a quarter. I had not seen that since CJ.
It was was it 23 in the second half or was it 23 in the fourth quarter? I can't remember.
I don't know if it was. I think it was. I want to say second half, but I can't say with confidence. So
yeah, I like of the first string All-Americans, I think besides Cohn and Machiavelli, of course, Player of the Year. Rick Cohn, I think far and away the best point guard this season. CJ Green, definitely the most solid in the first team nod. I think CJ Mack and Rack Jones you could probably fill with a couple of other players. But the 1, 2, and 4, I think, are you ask anybody in the league, even people that barely watch games, that's probably the 3 that you're talking about in those positions.
Yeah, I mean that's fair. I think that's very fair.
I think the league is now asking for All-American games. I'm seeing that third team beats first team, no problem.
You know what? Maybe that's something we do in the off season for some additional content while we're waiting to get everything up and running for the rebrands. Because I do think this off season may be a little bit longer than past off seasons, but we'll see.
Gremlin brought something up that is it's very true that I didn't think about because when I look at the stats now, the stats now are covering through conference tourneys and everything.
Oh yeah, that's true.
But CJ Mack actually led the league in assists from the small forward position at the end of the season.
That's crazy.
All right, cool.
Nuts.
With that information in mind, then 1 through 4, done, set in stone. 5, you can make arguments.
Yeah.
Yes.
I agree. I mean that's fair. That's what's
100%. I totally because I was looking. I'm like, he's third in assists. He's at 5 because he's at 5.8 from the small forward position is ridiculous. Anyway,
that is crazy.
Yeah, but I think he was at 6 at one point. 6 or 6 and 6.2 or 6.3 at one point.
Oh yeah, okay.
And then I think he's up there in the top 5 in steals.
I mean, to be fair though, when you're feeding a guy like Don Machiavelli,
well, of course, but I mean, but still, he's
gonna get you the points.
He's still averaging what? CJ Mack's still averaging. Let me find it real quick. 13, 14.
He was 13.6 at the end of conference tourney and everything. Again, him and Machiavelli for Texas Tech match up super, super well. There's a lot of great chemistry between those two, and I'm not knocking that. But when you're feeding the Player of the Year, you're gonna be up there in assist numbers. It's surprising that it's the small forward and not the point guard, but that's just how Texas Tech rolls.
Yeah, I mean, the flip side of it could be is every time he passes him, he's like, shit, he's shooting again, and he didn't have much of a choice. So
Texas Tech doesn't even have a point guard on their roster, so
fair,
no point guard,
very fair, Aaron. I don't think they did. I think it was Rihi Raka playing point guard half the nights. Let's switch gears. Let's talk a little bit real quickly about the rebranding. Obviously, we only have about 12-ish teams out so far. But how you guys feeling about the rebrand? I would love to hear the stream chat. I would love to hear you guys in here with me. What's your guys' thoughts on what you've seen? So far, what's your favorite rebrand that you've seen so far? We'll start.
Bone Town.
All right, somebody that wasn't an ECFL team prior. How's that? Let me put a little extra criteria on that one.
Potomac Poly for me.
Yeah,
You like the Majestic, huh?
Listen, something about their color scheme and their branding just hits different for me.
The red and the
Yeah,
blue.
yeah, I like the. I like. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
lie, I like the color scheme.
Ray, what about you? What's your go?
Oh, but are you really gonna put me on the spot like that?
Well, I said I want to put a little
Like
criteria
Motown.
excluding Bonetown.
Okay, excluding Bonetown, but I mean, I don't know. I there's so many really good ones, but like my eye keeps going back to that Oahu one.
Yeah.
Like that
Yeah.
thing.
I
is
have two favorites. I'll tell you
so
mine too at the end. So
That Oahu one is so smooth. Like it is so smooth.
Jay, what about for you, buddy?
Oh yeah, definitely Oahu. I was saying that a couple times in the league chat. Oahu was definitely a pretty interesting one. I liked Indiana too, the Indiana A&M. That one was good too. I love the color scheme for that one. And then the Clutch City Van Banditos, that one was pretty good. A
The
lot of
belt
them are
buckle
really good.
style. The belt
Yeah.
buckle style is on point. I do like that
Yeah.
one a lot.
I have two that are my favorite, and one of them is more about the themality of it, and the other one is about the look of it. So from a themality perspective, I love the Revelers. That is one of my favorite that I did. There's something about that. It's talking about Mardi Gras and like just that atmosphere. It screams Mardi Gras to me. And then the other one, and I agree with you guys too. The Oahu, probably only because Hawaii is near and dear to my heart. I have a lot of friends that go there. I went there for my honeymoon. I'm very, very tight with Hawaii in general, and I want to go back there with my family again. And when that one kind of came together, just from I was like, oh, this is an amazing logo. What if I made this the O in Oahu, and it just was like blew up, right? Like that was just, and then it just came together. So to me, that one. But yeah, I mean, there's a few of them in there that I definitely feel a lot more passionate about than some of the others. But I mean, there are things that mean something to everybody, right? Like so, Hawaii means something to me, whereas Clutch City, X-Face, there's that affinity to Houston, and Clutch City is in Houston. So that, just so you guys all know, that is, we try to bring in a connection to the community in some way. Bay City is known for fishing in Michigan on the lake. That is a big thing about that community. That is the reason why they're the anglers. So like we try to bring in the pronghorns are actually a big part of Wyoming. So like there's that. So like there is a lot of little connections to each individual city for the most part throughout all of these logos and rebrands so far.
So I know everybody out there is like, what the hell is a Bone Town? And so just to give y'all a little insight on that from the guys that aren't a part of the ECFL. So this little area that I'm in is Cassett, Westville, Mount Pisgah. It's in South Carolina. It's in the middle of nowhere. So there's a town, and it's not even a town. It's actually just like the name of the entire community out here, like these three areas combined. And it's Boone town, and it's Boontown is, if I spelled it right, is how you would pronounce it.
Yeah.
But all of us rednecks around here have called it Bonetown since inception, so it's Bonetown. That's where it came from.
And having been part of Bonetown for the ECFL, there's an aspect of it that reminds me of when Kentucky was born as the name for Kentucky internally for the CSBA. Over at the ECFL, phenomenal. One of the best locker rooms in any sim league that I've ever been a part of. There's a reason why Ray and I are tight. For those that don't know, a phenomenal connection of a really good group of people that were part of that team. We talked about logos that hit home. Doesn't hit home for me because I don't live in this area, but Quantico College Leathernecks.
Well, I liked it though.
I mean, there's a connect. I mean, and I love the logo. I love everything about it. But I don't have that affinity or that connection to that team, and that's fine. And that's what the rebrands are supposed to bring. They're supposed to bring an affinity, a connection for people. That's the hope. We're trying to tie in. More to come. There's some other ones that we're still kind of working through the logistics on. Like Rusty's team is more or less, the name is done. we just keep going back and forth on the logo and can't necessarily get to a thing. I think I've had the similar conversation with Mitch over something that he wants. So more to come. We've had a lot of good conversations. The collaborativeness of everybody has been phenomenal. Let's talk a little bit really quickly. Let's switch gears. This is probably going to be our last topic before we sign off here in a few. Let's talk about March Madness. All right. I mean, I'm waiting for the bracket. The bracketology hasn't been done from. I think they just finished the voting today or the rankings today. So hopefully by tomorrow I will have that actually laid out for me so that I can start to put the show together. I think there are a few teams that I'm waiting for clips from. But with that said, and I think I tagged everybody that I'm missing clips from. So if you're in the stream and your team was tagged, please get me 5 clips ASAP because that is a huge, heavy lift on my part to put that show together. So props out to Nighthawk who did it in the past. I did it last year. It is a freaking heavy lift job. I'm not going to kid you not. There's a lot of production that goes into that. I know how to do it, so it's not going to take me as long as it did the first time, so that's good. With that said, talk to me guys a little bit about March Madness. I'm pretty sure Zay, you and Vengeance already have bracketology. I don't know if C-Web is going to get that out tonight or tomorrow. I think the hope is one or the other. I'm not sure. But guys, talk to me a little bit about March Madness. Who do you think is going to not make it? Who do you think is going to make it? Who do you think is going to make a run? Let's just talk a little bit. Let's do a little bit March Madness, a little rambling. I know we're going to talk about a lot of this when we actually get to the selection show. But just talk to me about your excitement around it. I'll start with you, Zay, because I know you've already did it with Vengeance. So talk to me if you want to give a little precursor to what you guys put together. Feel free. The floor is yours, buddy.
Yeah, man. Me and Vengeance, we've been going on for a little bit about our little mock. Should come out tomorrow morning. That's what we kind of decided on with that. A little bit before the actual selection show, just something for everyone to look at. But when we were looking at it, was kind of hard going into like maybe 3 seeds down. Like after past the 3 seeds, it was pretty easy from 1 through 3. But then like going from 4 down, it just kept getting harder and harder. I know like I know our last one was kind of hard when we got to the end. I'm like, who should get in? Like we had like a couple teams on like the bubble where it's like, we had like Louisville with the win over North Carolina, but then we also had Ole Miss in there, potentially snagging an 8 seed there. So like we just kept going back and forth about it a whole lot, and it was fun. It was a really fun conversation. Looking forward to sending that out and just interacting with everyone there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to the interaction between you guys and the rest of the CSBA on that specifically. Ray, what about for you? Is there? I know you didn't officially do I know you did your rankings, but talk to me a little bit about how you see this March Madness kind of taking shape.
So from just my going through a team that a lot of people probably don't have getting in that I see getting in because they've got the best win of all the lower tier teams is Louisville.
Yeah.
A lot of people say, they've got 1 win on the season, they shouldn't be in. Louisville beat UNC. I started looking at the 2-win teams, and it's like none of them have that one quality win. And Louisville has a quality win. So why would I? And then you look at a team like, and everybody's like, okay, so then who are you going to keep out, right? So you start looking at a team like Ole Miss who actually
had 2 wins. I think, right? Didn't they have 2 wins on the season?
Yeah, they won their first 2 games of the season, and then haven't been competitive since. Yeah. Like not even competitive.
I mean that's fair, and I think Louisville is a much deep. I mean, speaking from what I've seen, I've called a lot of Louisville games this season. They're a much deeper team. I think they would give somebody a little bit of a more difficult time out of the gate. I think you could potentially see if you put the right game plan together. And I know Louisville this season has struggled, and I know why they've struggled. I have not my place to tell coach what to do, what not to do, but they have not hit on what I think could make them a much more explosive team. And if they could figure that out, if they're running sims, if they're trying to like play around with a different look, this is probably the time to do it if they get it.
Yeah. So with that being said, Louisville, just looking back, they've played a lot of close games. They've lost a lot of really, really close games that they were in and probably should have won. Whereas, and then like I said, they got the one quality win. Whereas Ole Miss, like I said, they won their first 2 games of the season, and ever since they haven't even been in a ball game. Honestly, they've just it's not been pretty.
Aaron,
I hate to be the jerk, but no, I don't.
No, I mean, it's keeping it real. I like it. I mean, I like the genuineness behind your comments, because I think it's there are a lot of things and a lot of perspectives that people take when it comes to this, and a lot of people get bent out of shape that their team didn't make it, or they were a bubble team and we still had 2 wins and blah blah blah. Like, there's a lot of thought process that goes behind the selection committee's rankings, and I think that's important. Especially the problem. This is where it does get wonky, and I want to get Aaron's take here in a second. But where it gets wonky is when you have 14 people on a selection committee. If 1 or 2 guys have a team that should have made it, but the rest don't, all of a sudden those 1 or 2 teams don't get in because the average of the seeding ends up pushing them below the threshold. So those are things that I think a lot of people don't necessarily have transparency to, because they don't see how it comes out like that when the rankings get put through by the committee. But it's definitely something to keep in mind as you look at these numbers. And I think the same thing you go through when we talk about some of these awards, right? I mean, you have to pick somebody. And in some cases, when you have a larger group doing it, some of those numbers, especially for a team that a couple people logically say, hey, this team should be in over this team. That's my opinion. If the vast majority of the guys don't see it, then that team doesn't get in. So it's just an interesting thing and an interesting take for people to kind of keep in consideration when the brackets are revealed. Aaron, I want your take about what you think, what we think we should expect from this March Madness. Is there any teams for you that sleeper teams? Is there any teams that you think are just your consensus number 1 that are going to go all the way? They're going to wreck house everybody. Talk to me a little bit about how you're not on the committee. So I want, I think your take, and I know you called a lot of the games. You've seen a lot of the CSBA games this season. What do you think about March Madness? And just give me your thoughts here, because I know I kind of covered the gamut of all kinds of questions there, but talk to me.
So there's a lot of tight competition in the CSBA, just in general, pretty much throughout the entire gambit of seedings. You've got tight contests for number 1, number 2. You've got tight contests for the number 7, number 8 seed. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see how that fills out. There is no definite favorite as a 1 seed, I think, to go and win it all, because we've already seen that some of these, 6, 7, 8 seeds could very easily go into a number 1, number 2, and come out on top, and then you're like, well, how the flip did that happen? Of the teams that currently I think have a chance at the number 1 seed, purely based on momentum, I've got to give a nod to Duke.
Yeah, Duke has been playing really well.
Duke is currently on a 9-game winning streak. They lost their first game of the season, but have gone 9 straight. They don't have the best point differential of the 9-1 teams. I don't think they have the best strength of schedule of the 9-1 teams. I do think they would get an edge in the number 1 seeding over Gonzaga. I would have Gonzaga as a 2 seed, just telling it like it is. But I think just of the potential number 1s, I think Duke has the best potential to go all the way.
Pax wants to know, who did Duke lose to?
Duke lost to Iowa.
Shocker that he asked that question, right?
I already knew the answer to it because we had a discussion.
I already knew the
I
answer.
did that on purpose. I wanted to get a laugh. From what I heard from the committee, the middle of the selection was very difficult.
Yeah, I think, again, number 1, number 2, you could kind of shuffle it around a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could kind of shuffle it around a bit, make it make sense. There's specifically that last number 8 seed that is high contention, but I think all of the other ones are pretty decently set. From 3 to 7, it's an absolute cluster.
Well, let me ask you a question. What
Good
for
luck.
you makes it a cluster? Is it because we had preseason tournaments? Is it because there's no like the teams didn't play a lot of the same teams, so therefore it's hard to determine who is better? Like what for you makes it a cluster as far as if you had to rank those middle teams?
There's in a lot of seeds, there's no like clear cut. Yes, this team is a 2 seed, or this team is a 6 seed. It just with how it felt this season, there was a lot of anybody can beat anyone on a given day, and I think because of that, it throws things like head to head and strength of schedule just out the goddamn window. Because plus with postseason tournaments too, some teams played more games than others. It's just incredibly complicated. Plus, we're going to add mid majors to the mix, which another bold take. I think that we're going to see a mid major, at least one, make it into the big dance and potentially upset whatever seed they come up against. Probably going to be a 1 seed. That's controversial, I know.
I love it though. I love it because I personally agree with you. I think you were going to see 2. That's my opinion.
I see.
Ooh, that's a hot take because I don't
But
think we see 1. I think we see 1. I think
I
we
do see 1.
1, and that's a maybe.
Okay,
my take is we're going to see 2 mid majors
I agree.
make it past the play-in stage. I think one of them is going to surprise us and sneak a win off of one of the
Ooh,
higher level
That
seeds
could
that
be
they come
cool.
up
I
against.
want to see that.
It's not going to be pretty. It is going to be a knockout, drag out. Why is this game so low scoring type of game? But I think that one of those mid majors is going to surprise us and sneak their way in past the opening round.
All right, I got another question because I think this is a good one. Who this season underachieved? Give me 2 teams that you, and I know my 2 teams that underachieved, but who are your 2 teams that underachieved?
Well, if all of us don't have Oregon State on that
Okay,
list,
that's
Yeah.
one.
Definitely.
definitely a team I think that underperformed this season considering the level of talent that they had. I'm also gonna say TCU. I think TCU could have and should have had a lot better season than they did. It just based on the people that they have around them.
Yeah, that's fair. Zay, what about you? Who's your 2? Who's your 2? I mean, I think you're probably going to agree with Oregon State. I think you were nodding your head, but
Yeah, definitely Oregon State was one. TCU is another. To an extent, I kind of thought we, as Memphis, kind of underperformed a slight bit there. Just the idea that like a couple of our games could have went our way. We could have easily been a above 500 team. But for those other 2 teams in the slate, yeah, Oregon State, TCU, I definitely see those 2.
I have one that I'm going to wait till the end. It's a hot take, but Ray, talk to me. What about you? You got Oregon State and who else?
I mean, you already know mine, but my team underperformed. It's my first ever losing season in any sim league.
Well, you're going to flip that, right? You're going to flip that around. You can't let Bone Town have that. So
No, that's not allowed.
that's unacceptable amongst the Lumberjacks.
I'll
so.
fire myself. I'll fire myself if that happens.
You'll axe
No,
yourself.
But not saying Pitt because of course I think we underachieved, and you know we did. You know what that team's made up of. You know how good we should have been and how good we weren't. Somebody failed us as a coach, and I'm not gonna say any names or point any fingers, but but no. So Oregon State.
That's what happens. That's what happens when that's what happens when you rely on a guy with titanium legs. But that's just me. So.
But my other one that I would actually have to say is Wake Forest. Wake Forest, I think, is one of the teams that underperformed. I think they're loaded with talent. I think they should have been competing with Duke, Miami, and North Carolina at the top of the ACC, and they just couldn't. I mean, I don't know why. I can't tell you why. They just didn't, and they should have because they're loaded with talent.
All right. So my hot take: Big Ten team. I think Michigan underperformed?
I don't see it as a hot take, really.
You don't see that as a hot
I
take?
can-
Michigan,
No,
two.
I really
They
don't.
won 2 out of the last 3 titles.
No, I really don't.
Mm.
See it as a
Yeah, but
hot take,
hold on, hold on,
really.
hold on, hold on. They won 2 out of the last 3 titles. Their first one was from like a 4 seed or a 5 seed.
Sandbag.
They-
Do you think there's a little sandbagging going on there, Ray?
Ooh, But no, I'm not wrong though.
No,
They
you're
won
not.
They won one of their titles. They were either a 4 or a 5 seed, and they made a run through the tournament and won it. And then of course they won their other one as I believe as a 1 seed. I think they were like the 1 seed.
Yeah.
What about you, Aaron? What's your thoughts on Michigan? Because Zay says I'm crazy, so.
I mean,
If
they
I
have
re-
what 3 losses on the season?
4.
4? Oh, they underperformed. Oh yeah, they underperformed.
If I recall correctly, didn't Michigan also lose like a lot of great talent this past off season?
I don't think so. I mean, I think
No?
they replaced whoever they lost. They replaced with really good talent.
That's
The
fair.
makeup of the team is different in the sense that, like, you had guys like Xavier, like Ali, who left. He made Paul made a new player, so his player is not the same caliber as because it's a different position and archetype. So
Right.
maybe the pieces don't fit as well together.
Wasn't Hashi a part of Michigan as well?
Hanzo Hisashi's on TCU,
Yeah.
so he left. So like, I still think Michigan underperformed personally. I think they are a very strong team, and depending on where they net out from a seeding, they're probably going to be. If I had to rank them, they're probably a 3 or a 4, which is crazy. Which is crazy to say, but like I could see them running the gauntlet.
See, I would
No,
call
and that's
Michigan
what I
a
was gonna
4 or
tell you.
5
That's-
seed.
4 or 5,
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
they're I think I seeded them as a 4. I'm almost positive that's what I seeded them as. But you know, that's just my personal opinion. So, but I actually have them as one of my sleeper teams in this tournament.
Yeah, I
In
mean,
the mock.
Pax just made a really good point. They did lose Jack Knopf, and in the loss of that can completely change the complexity of their inside outside game.
Yeah, just kind of a sneak peek to the mock, but we put them as a 4 in our mock.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what we put them.
Interesting takes, guys. Before we wrap up, and appreciate you all, appreciate Aaron, Ray, and Zay. Appreciate you guys being a part of Wired Up. Appreciate everybody tuning in for this one little minor announcement, and this is kind of a cool. Well, actually, I have 2 announcements. One, before I get to the cool announcement, if for some strange reason I am not able to complete the selection show in time, I should have all day tomorrow. Me and my coworker talked about not doing any work tomorrow at work, so hopefully nobody from my company is listening. Because I literally just spent the last 3 days at all these presentations and was out late and I'm exhausted. So I'll probably be in front of my computer just doing CSBA stuff all day tomorrow, which would be great. So hopefully that doesn't delay the selection show. But if I'm not able to have it together for Friday, we will pivot to Sunday. The reason I can't do it Saturday is I have multiple baseball games. I'm supposed to go to the Red Bulls game as part of my son's birthday present. So that's at 7:30 at night, so I can't do Saturday no matter what. I would have liked to have done it Saturday. That's really where I wanted to do it. So apologies to all if that does come to fruition. I am shooting and I'm working my butt off to try to get it for Friday. That is the hope. I will let you guys know probably sometime midday tomorrow if it's going to come to fruition, and it'll be Friday, but just tell you that. Cool. Now that I said that, the announcement that I have to make for next season, I think many of you probably know or have heard of this basketball league called the Big Three. It is a pro league. We are talking about instituting this for next season, a 3-team league. Probably will be more of like recorded, more than likely would be recorded games and posted on YouTube, more than likely. But the ability to team up with a friend within the CSBA and create your own team. And the hope is we're also going to try to brand those 3 teams. I think this is what I want to do. Doesn't mean it's going to definitely happen, but each team to have their like a brand name, like, you know, if you're the Ballers or the Ringers or, you know, whatever, be able to have your own jerseys for those. So that's something that I want to do, a 3-on-3 tournament, not tournament style, sorry, 3-on-3 quote unquote league, like the big 3, what you see out there. So something that we want to do for next season. So I'm excited for that. We already have a court. I already have the court. I've shown it to Ray. It's fire. I'm not going to show it
amazing.
here. It looks really, really cool. I mean, I think you guys saw what I do with the Park After Dark court for our All-Star game. So we're going to bring that forward for next season as well. So that gives additional content to the league for guys to be able to really get invested and get more out of their experience here. So any parting words, guys? We'll go around the room really quickly. Anything, Aaron, you want to say about what we got coming up next week?
I do have one more controversial take to leave the people
I love
with.
it. I love it.
I have
Bring
one
it.
more
Yes,
controversial take
like
to leave the
these.
people with. A bottom half seed is going to make it to the Final Four.
Ooh.
I don't know if that's that hot of a take.
Well, it depends on the team. I mean, if he's really
Depends
going
on the
out
team.
on a limb and it's somebody that
You're
nobody
saying
would
a
expect.
7 or an 8?
I'm saying we could potentially see. I'm gonna say a 6 or 7 seed make the Elite Four.
Okay.
Ooh. Now that makes it a little hotter.
That'd be
Final
cool.
Four.
Final Four. Elite 8 is Elite 8 or Final Four. So
No,
yeah.
my Pokemon brain. Leave me alone.
Okay. And just real quick, another announcement. We are going to do the bracket contest like we've done every season, so that will
That's the
happen too.
plan. That's the plan.
Zay, talk to me. Talk to me. What? Any parting words, buddy?
Definitely.
Anything from
going
the
into next-
anything from content. I mean, talk about content team, right? I mean, you guys
Yeah.
want to talk a little bit about CSBA Insider? What you guys are kind of talk about that maybe.
Yeah, but like I said before, we got the bracketology mock coming out tomorrow there. We got a couple more ideas coming up in the slate. I know me and Vince were talking yesterday about potential ideas. So yeah, definitely CSB Insider, hard at work here. But going into the next like couple days, weeks here, selection show is coming. March Madness is coming. I'm all for it. It's just the idea of this, like, anybody can beat anybody, just like you said earlier. You ain't got to outplay him for a series. You just got to outplay him for 32 minutes, and you can find yourself in a really good position. So I'm all for it. I'm ready.
Right, what do you got? And then I'll give you my parting words, and then we'll go.
Yeah, man. I'm excited for Madness. I'm excited to see what we got coming in the future. You know, with as far as like the content that's coming out and things like that. I'm really excited for the stuff coming up next year, guys. Y'all need to stick around. Yeah, I mean, there's guys that's not saying that they're not about the rebrands and they're not about the mod teams and stuff like that. But man, this is gonna get wild. I think you're gonna really like what's coming forward.
Yeah,
Merchandising
we
is so good.
we are working behind the scenes and doing everything. There is a lot still left of heavy lifting to do, but we are working. I mean, I'm literally up till 3 a.m. every night doing stuff. So lots of great things. Like I said, there's 2 more channels for the content team for that we didn't launch yet. I think one of them is coming in the next 24 to 48 hours, and then we have another one that's being worked on as we speak. And again, that's just going to continue to get added and added along the way. So super excited for that. So make sure you guys interact with those channels and with the content providers. We want that interaction as we're trying to bring as much content. Shout out to my boy Dickie, who's working his ass off. I know he has not been around a lot lately, but the man is working feverishly a lot in his real life. So that's the reason why you haven't seen him around. But shout out to him, thinking about him always. And we appreciate you, CSBA. We thank you guys all for tuning in for this one. It's been a while since I did a Wired Up. Hopefully we can start doing more of these. We just got to get things in order for the league and get there. But stay tuned. We'll let you know about March Madness, and whether it's Friday or Sunday. So just giving you that heads up in advance. And appreciate you guys on the panel. Thank you guys for joining me. And we are out. CSBA. We'll see you guys probably Friday. Peace.